Greetings and salutations, Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. It is that time of year once again, and I am not talking about Christmas. I am talking about the fantasy playoffs. They have arrived. I almost can't believe that we're already in December. Christmas is 2 weeks away, and we have a great playoff ready to go. It is the thing that we fight so hard across the fantasy dome in your individual leagues that we fight so hard for, and only a few of us are able to achieve. So you know who is in, we know who is out. And that's what we're going to break down in this week's episode. Before we do, take a moment, like and subscribe. We appreciate you being with us here today. If you're just joining us, you've sure missed out on a lot of action, but you're coming in at the right time as the culmination, the climax is about to be upon us. If you're here, you're one of my regulars, you know what you need to do. Find something to eat, find something to drink. Push out all the distractions, wife and kids, paperwork, homework, whatever it may be. It stops now for the next hour. You belong here in the Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. So turn up the volume on your listening device and let's start off talking about how we do the playoffs here in Fantasy Gen. So first thing we need to understand is just because you did not make the championship bracket. I mean, that's what we want to be in. That's the money. That's the glory. That's the bragging rights. That's the big damn trophy. Okay. Yes, that's what we're we're hunting after. But unlike many other leagues where you're probably not playing for anything, it's like you might as well just forget that anything's going on. Maybe you play for draft picks, something like that. I mean, every little league has their own little niches and punishments and, rewards, all that. Here in the Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen, if you are in the Consolation Ladder, the toilet bowl, what we like to call the best of the worst, you're playing for your choice of the top 8 picks in 2025. We'll talk about how that works out. You're fighting not to be Forever Unclean. We all know how that goes. And at the end of the day, we wait for this season. We wait for football for 9 months. And it's like not even a full 4 months. We get like 3.5 months. Call it, okay, we wait 8 months and get 4 months of football, make the math easy, and why, even though it's not a great year, maybe you're at the bottom and you are trying not to be Forever Unclean, which is great motivation. Maybe you're in the middle, or, that's the thing here. We do so much to keep you in the hunt. It doesn't matter where you are, top or bottom. These are the problems that other leagues have, not the fantasy gents. So you're hunting for everything in here. We'll go over that here in a moment. Then, of course, we have our playoff bracket, and that's the biggest thing to keep in mind if you are kind of getting used to how things are done here. We do have someone, Jonathan, who's, for seeing how we're organized for the first time, and that is it. Unlike the Consolation Ladder, it is a ladder. We're moving up and down the rungs of a ladder. It is a bracket system, classic basketball, football style bracket. And we're going to be paired up according to who had finished better or worse. And then, of course, by the end of the year, your picks are not chosen. It is much like the NFL, first and last. So if you're the worst in the championship bracket, you're going to walk away with that 9th pick. If you are the best, you're going to walk away with the very last pick, that 14th, whatever, if we have one next year, 16th. We'll worry about all that in 2025. So without further ado, let's start in that Consolation Ladder. We're going to bring it up, and we're going to see that our top matchup, this is very important for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is that number 7 and number 8, Brauc and Jordan Payne, you guys could lose 3 games in a row. You don't want to do that, and we'll talk about why. But you could lose 3 games in a row. There is no way that either of you gentlemen are Forever Unclean. So, congratulations on achieving the very top spot of the Consolation Ladder. The other reason you don't want to lose 3 matches in a row, even if you were to be the case, you're going to put yourself in a lower position to get your choice of whatever pick you want. And guys like me, if I'm sitting down here at 11 and 12, 9 and 10, I want to be on the top 3 or the last 3. So I'm hunting 1, 2, or 3 picks in 2025. Okay. We'll move down into the next bracket as we have number 9 and number 10, Aaron Grog and Aaron Felch. It's a rematch of the Battle of the Aarons, and Aaron was able to prove he was the better Aaron. Can he choose? Can he do so again and maintain his co-commissioner status? Didn't think we'd have to worry about that in the playoffs, but here we are worrying about it. We have our number 11, number 12 seeds, Evan, Coles, and Forrest Dozier. And Forrest, you have been Forever Unclean only one time before. Obviously, someone who knows what it's like to be Forever Unclean. Has it been fun? Has it, Evan? Not been good. And I didn't even do the punishment. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But I technically didn't do what I was supposed to make you do. And then at the very bottom in the round 1 of our Forever Unclean match is Jack Little Raven and Joshua Johnson, 13 and 14 respectively. And this is the nice thing about, I think, our league is that, just because you come in last in the regular season does not guarantee that you are Forever Unclean. There are 3 other weeks left in the season. You should have a right to fight and prove that you're not. And what better way than a tournament system that is, going to hold you to no matter what. This is where your team really ended up after 17 weeks of football. And, you usually get stuck with the very last pick, which is the 8th pick. But hey, at least you're in the middle. And there's a lot of people who like to, draft in the middle because their picks aren't so far apart. So this is our Consolation Ladder. And I will say, gentlemen, those of you who may be worried or might be thinking there was going to be no punishment and reward system, whatever, that is not the case. Your commissioner failed, was bad commissioning. It was a very interesting 2023 into 2024. You didn't, deal out, force the punishment that is in our, rules and regulations. Austin didn't even get his trophy. Of course, he got his winnings. Don't worry there. But he didn't even get his trophy. There's a really long story why. Don't want to go into it. Feel free to DM me. I'll tell you about it later. But I still haven't even had it, put back together, if that gives you an idea of the problem. Humpty Dumpty, okay, had a great fall. More like Humpty Dumpty was beaten to shit because someone got angry and there was no putting him back together again. But again, I digress, not trying to go into that. We're moving on. But I guarantee you, we will have trophies. We will have punishments. We will have everything required to make this once and for all understood the best league that ever was or will be. Let's take a look at that championship bracket. This is what we've all been waiting for, wanting, where we're going to have all the action. All the eyes are on you. And, of course, we have our round 1 buys, number 1 and number 2. Brennan, Scala, Jonathan, Andrews. Congratulations, gentlemen. Not an easy task. In our first round, so you guys are just cruising, enjoying. We've known that for a while with Brennan. Our first rounds will feature the 4-5 matchup, the very dangerous, the one I don't prefer to be in. It's, you have a higher percentage chance of winning, but that chance is so 50-50 that it could go either way, and, that is definitely the case here. You always are playing someone in that match that's really very, comparable in team strength, and you'll see even, in this case, the records are sometimes the same, usually not, but in this case, exactly the same. So this almost feels like a Consolation Ladder match in the sense of where these two teams finished. The 3-6 matchup is a little more what you might expect when you look at record, as, our Defending champion Austin Allen is sitting at number 3, 11-3, scoring really well. I am, I didn't sneak because I was already there, but I held on to my playoff position and wound up with that 6th seed by a fingernail, skin in my teeth, whatever metaphor you would like to use for, it was fucking close, boys and girls. So it is still, nevertheless, it's a close match. It's a 4-point game in the projections. We'll talk about that when we get to the game itself, but this is the simple win or go home. The unfortunate part about anything that gets at the end of the day in any kind of, sports competition is that there isn't a lot of action when you lose in a bracket. So this first round, when you lose, you're not getting money. You're really just going to joggle for a draft position in 2025. The ideal thing is you want to get to that, third round match. You want to try and finish in the money, obviously first or second, to get the big bucks and hopefully walk away with the trophy and the bragging rights, all the above. So let's not waste any more time. We know who was in, who was out. We just got to give the breakdown and let everyone know that everything's coming. What you expect in this league should and will happen, gentlemen. So sit down, buckle up, get those rosters ready, and fight for your lives, okay? And we're going to start in that consolation ladder. We're going to start up at the very top where number 8 and number 7, Jordan Payne, Brauc Hudgens, taking on each other once more. Both these owners 7-7, and this is where you were going to see, just like I was talking about with Chandlar and Derrick both being 8-6. You're 8-6. You are going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of this here in round 1 of the ladder. People who are right next to you finished right above and below you. So these matches are very, very tough, and you're usually going to see in the playoffs, especially round 1, that matches are very, 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 very close. And this is almost the opposite of that. It's a 16-point swing. Lots of, issues when we come to productivity. So we're going to start with Jordan here. Josh Allen coming off of a 50-point week. He gets Detroit. Let's taper expectation. Okay, Detroit, very good defense. Tyrone Tracy, Gus Edwards, touchdown dependent running back with, clearly J.K. Dobbins, the better running back in that tandem. And I would even be surprised if Gus Edwards is vultured here a little bit. And then you definitely don't like the Giants, who that offense just, doesn't seem to be able to move the ball. And I think Baltimore, even though you can pass on them, I think are just going to be dominant over this New York Giants team. A.J. Brown and Cooper Kupp, wide receivers 1 and 2. A.J. Brown, not what we wanted, not giving us the production in the terms of where we drafted him at 24th on wide receivers for points per game right now. Cooper Kupp, taper expectations. San Francisco, very tough, very important they get this win. At the same time, we just saw what Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua did in the game against Buffalo, so primed for a big game here. Juwan Johnson, Washington, I don't have any more faith left in any passing player in New Orleans. They're a brink from being eliminated. The injuries, Olave, Derek Carr, now, Kamara's banged up. I mean, this is just, I have no faith and want nothing. No, oh my gosh. Marquez Valdez Scantling, my lord, without Derek Carr throwing the ball deep, I just have no faith. Isaiah Pacheco, who got the majority of the carries there in Kansas City, I love against Cleveland, who could just be shutting down at this point in time. Washington's defense, great pickup on the waiver. Boswell, the kicker, and 114 on the projection. You have a lot to make up, and I just want to say thank God Brauc is not in the playoffs. I legitimately think if you had the tiebreaker with me in your favor, obviously I'd beat you early on into the season, but had you been able to sneak into the playoffs, you are just scoring higher than any other player in team right now, which says a lot because Jonathan and Brennan and Austin scoring 120, 140, 150, and you are scoring 150 and 160 like it's nothing, and it looks, and you see that reflected in the projection. Already projected 130, Sam Darnold in Chicago. Now, taper expectation, the one thing we do talk about Chicago, very, very good, number one against wide receivers, and they're like number 7, I think it's actually top 5. I know they're top 10 against quarterbacks. I know that. Devon A-Chain, Rico Dowdle, running backs 1 and 2. Taper expectations for Achan, Houston, tough defense, but I mean, they're just not the same. I think a lot of that has to do with CJ Stroud and then the lack of time your offense is on the field, more time for your defense. But this is one of those. Houston is a good defense, so we're going to taper expectation a little bit here. Rico Dowdle, Carolina, that's going to be really, really fun. Dallas actually might get a win here. Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans, both banged up. Wide receivers 1 and 2. We get the Chargers in Houston, both stingy defenses. Taper expectation here might not score 160. Okay, probably maybe just 120. Okay. McBride, New England, it's going to be a great day. Might actually get a touchdown. I hope not. Remember the deal we made, okay? And by deal that we made, I verbally said it out loud, which means that I, as your commissioner and elder person man, and the familial ties of the Hudgenses and Johnson that are rooted deep, and, my beard is bigger than your beard, so no touchdowns for McBride. All the volume is fine, but the touchdowns go to my little Cardinals, and but on a legit might actually get a touchdown against New England here. Joan Jennings, God bless the people who came up with that. Rams tapering again expectation for the same reason that we talked about with Cooper Kupp. The Rams actually have been playing pretty good defense. They're like, I can't remember their estimated season defensive something ranking. I can't remember the acronym. It's like they're like a top 5 possible defense for the rest of the year. I'd like to see it before I can actually believe that. But, whatever reason, Brock Purdy has just focused on Juwan Jennings, and I think this is a great reason that Brock Purdy is going to have a great night, and Juwan Jennings, and there's other reasons that I really need that not to happen, but we'll talk about it. I don't want to get ahead. I try and talk about the players and not everybody on the team because, what's the point of covering everyone if you've already talked about people on their team? So, Philadelphia, the defense, and Jack Bates, the interesting stat is like Jack Bates is on like 70% of championship teams. Interesting stat. But this game is very close. Let's go. I mean, as you can see, in week 10, 98-105, one of the crucial Brauc Cinderella wins. I think we're going to see more of the same here in round 1. So give me number 7, Brauc Hudgens, to get a win here. But remember, Jordan, you could lose all 3. You're not you don't want to be forever unclean. But I know you want a top 3 pick in 2025. So keep it going after you get your butt kicked by just a powerhouse Brauc Hudgens team. Game 2 of our Consolation Ladder is going to feature number 10, Mr. Aaron Felch, taking on number 9 co-commissioner Aaron Grog, and a rematch of the Battle of the Aarons. And could it be more important here in our first round of the Consolation Ladder? And gentlemen, you will have to worry about becoming forever unclean. 3 losses would guarantee that that's the case. You don't want to have 2 losses. So for everyone who is wanting to know, if you're in games 2, 3, and 4 here in the Consolation Ladder, if you look at that as moving down the ladder, if you will, you have to get 2 wins. 2 wins guarantees that you are not in the final round of Forever Unclean. So, can you put together 2 wins out of 3 the next 3 weeks. If you are Josh and Jack, maybe not. But that doesn't mean anything. I've seen people who are at the top fall all the way to the bottom. And so that is what is possible here, Mr. Felch, Mr. Grog, in your game. Both these owners 6 and 8. So we see that, same record. And both these teams have been scoring well. Now, Aaron dealing with a little more injury going into this playoff. And unfortunately, Felch, and I'm going to have to do that because I can't say Aaron. I'm just going to be saying Aaron every other word out of my mouth. So I'm just going to refer to these owners as Mr. Felch, Mr. Grog for, sanity's sake, for the love of God. So the Lone Badger, Mr. Felch, really got healthy, was getting strong, almost had the chance to hit 7 and 7. Thank God he didn't, because he would have pushed me out and you'd be sitting at that 6th seed. I'm not trying to rub it in. I'm just pointing it out. I praise all of my blessings that were able to make it come true. It doesn't change the fact you're still projected 120 points, but unfortunately it was injury that kept you from getting that win. We talk about Jaden Reed. We talk about Ladd McConkey. The goose egg from Jaden Reed absolutely played a part. Gurindo, even though he got into double digits, still goes out of the game. It does look like he is going to play. So, unfortunately, Aaron, it was injuries early in the season. You were getting really healthy, coming back strong as the end of the regular season was playing out, and Nico Collins was looking good, and T. Higgins had finally come back from his injury, and it was just a little lack of production that kept you from as well being in the playoffs. So both of these owners falling short and wanting to start off round 1 right. Jalen Hurts in the Battle of Pennsylvania gets Pittsburgh. So taper expectations. I actually think this 20 is a little high here. Tony Pollard, Isaac Gurindo. Like we said, Gurindo does look like he's going to play tomorrow. So keep that in mind. And I do still point out that the Rams, I don't even really when we look at matchups, especially defensive, because, we have them on our team. And so finding those defense, you've noticed that especially in the championship bracket, you have a bunch of people, myself included, starting to hoard their defenses all of the sudden, and where you wouldn't waste a thought on 2 defenses, now you're wasting space on 2 defenses, and it's because it's all about the matchup. Can I win that week? Which is, I think, another reason why head-to-head is still so important. I digress. It's going to be an interesting matchup for whatever reason in my bones against, San Francisco and this LA Rams team. So at the end of the day, San Francisco, they run the ball. We know it's coming. Double-digit points most likely here. Jaden Reed cannot goose egg you again. Ladd McConkey needs to do what he was doing for you and so many people, and that's winning you games. Hawkinson, Chicago, I like the tough matchups with defenses and tight ends. That usually means tight ends or outlets and checkdowns. For whatever reason, with this ball hawking, super tight pressure, wide receiver pressure, Chicago secondary, I don't like Hawkinson as much as I think I would normally. Kyren Williams has been a touchdown machine. Can we get more of the same against San Francisco? I just feel this is going to be a defensive game. I don't expect, it's almost like the opposite. Like, since they just came off, that's what it is. That's what it is. Giant shootout with Buffalo. It just doesn't feel that way again to me with San Francisco. Both these defenses, I think, are going to cause some trouble. Minnesota's defense, which I really do like against Chicago here. Folk, the defense, or kicker, it is 120.4. And I will say, you do have the projection. It is too close. I mean, 10, it really could go either way. You kind of have an idea who you think would win. When we get less than 5, when we get less than 3, when we're down to 1, it could go either way. And Aaron Grog, Mr. Grog, co-commissioner Aaron Grog, has been, was able to put up 123 points last week. He just didn't like the outcome very well, and that's Joe Burrow getting Tennessee. It's a great matchup. He's going to feast Rachaad White. I think Bucky Irving is not going to be able to play. I'm not interested in Sean Tucker. The Chargers have a stingy defense, so yeah, I think the lower projection here for Rachaad White is very understandable. Alvin Kamara, Washington, there's no way he's hitting 16 points. They cannot pass the ball. There's no one to throw the ball. The team is going to be eliminated from playoff contention any day. We saw it last week. Kendra Miller got the vulturing touchdown. Yeah, Alvin Kamara might be lucky if he gets you 10 or 12 points at this point in time. Washington is going to destroy New Orleans tomorrow. Garrett Wilson and T. Higgins. Garrett Wilson has been a highlight. He's been horrible going into the end of the season, and then right before the fantasy playoffs explodes, he gets Jacksonville, and we thought Jacksonville was going to get blown out last week, and that's not what happened. So which Garrett Wilson do we get? Which Jacksonville do we get with? Who knows? This could go either way. T. Higgins, Tennessee with a stack. Yeah, this is going to be a great, I imagine he'll have well more than his 4 points in this game. Tucker Kraft, who I picked up in another league because some moron dropped him. He is the only person other than Josh Jacobs that I want in Green Bay. He will get a touchdown. I have no confidence in any of the other wide receivers here in Green Bay. I'm sorry to say, that Jaden Reed won't have a goose egg. He will have 4 points because he's going to have 2 receptions for 25 yards. I mean, that's what we're looking at. Nico Collins, Miami, big day, big play. Detroit, the defense, which I don't like against Buffalo. Surely you're going to change your defense. And McLaughlin, the kicker. This game is within 2 points, but I actually don't think it's that close. I think that it's, kind of trending in the wrong direction. Lots of tough matchups and still dealing with a little injury. Give me co-commissioner Aaron Grog to repeat his week 4 performance of 152 to 110. That's kind of what I really feel it is. It'll be like Aaron Felch, Mr. Felch, my God, is going, just like you did last week, 107, 109, 110. That feels right. Mr. Grog, co-commissioner Aaron Grog is primed for, I think, a very big blow-up week, and I could easily see another 130, maybe 150. I don't know. That's such a big number, but I definitely think we're going to see co-commissioner Aaron Grog walk away with the round 1 win here in the playoffs. As we move ever closer to the bottom of the consolation ladder, we're going to stop for a matchup between number 12, Forrest, Heart of the Card, Dozier, and number 11, that which shall not be named, he who is forever unclean, Mr. Stinky, Evan Coles. And I'll say this much, Evan, if you can find 2 wins in the next 3 weeks, this will be the last couple times that we will refer to you as forever unclean, because we will definitely find and crown a new one here in 2025. I think, don't prove me wrong. You guess you can do that. You keep running Patrick Mahomes. You keep running the Dallas defense. So, I mean, you're definitely, determined to do things your way. Forrest, I will say, I would have bet $1,000, okay, that after the draft that you would be, if at all, any wins at all, you would have ended up forever unclean. You didn't make the playoffs, but you sure did prove that aspect of the season wrong. It doesn't mean that it can't happen. Like I said, anybody in the game before this one and the one after are all possible candidates to become forever unclean. You lose the wrong matches, somebody gets hurt, whatever, it could put you in a vicarious position. So let's go ahead and look at this again. Talk about when I said you were going to get paired up with someone who's right there with you. These owners, both 5 and 9, and we saw how close their game was back in week number 5. Okay, within 14 points. Now that does start to lean one way or another, but I want to say that Forrest in week 5, you are not the team that you are. So you can take week 5 and throw it out the door. And then that's for you too, Evan. You are not playing the same team. Unlike you, Forrest made trades to get himself at least away from the very bottom of the Forever Unclean round. So let's go ahead and break this game down. As the number 8 quarterback on the year, Bo Nix, Aaron should have held on to him. I should have drafted him like I planned to. And Forrest, you're going to start him against Indianapolis this week. Absolutely. Aaron Jones and David Montgomery are going to have days. It's Chicago and Buffalo. You can run on Buffalo. You can run on Chicago. This is going to be a powerhouse running back here. Cedric Tillman, Jalen Waddle, running back or wide receivers 1 and 2, Houston and Kansas City. So now we're going to start to taper expectation here, as both of these defense very good. Travis Kelce in Cleveland. So I think this will be, at least you need him to be exactly what you drafted him to be. He needs to have a big game here. I actually do feel Kansas City, whether it's rigged or not, one way or another, I do think that Travis Kelce has a big game here. You sure need them to, as Xavier Worthy's going to come in as your flex play. Green Bay gets, this goes into like this number again. We saw Seattle go crazy against Arizona last week, much to my chagrin. But Green Bay is a very good defense. I believe they're number 5 right now. And Seattle, dealing with injury, no Kembone Walker. I don't know how Zach Charbonnet scores 37 points last week, but they still throw a ball a bunch, and Green Bay has a very good defense here, so I do like the start. Jake Elliott, the kicker. Why are we still running Jake Elliott? I mean, the dude is horrible. Philadelphia, you would think, I get it, the mindset, they're going to move the ball, they're going to possibly get into field goal range, but Jake Elliott can't kick a field goal to make his life, so I am done with Jake Elliott. I would definitely be looking for another kicker. It is a 4-point game, unfortunately not in your favor. It is the current Forever Unclean who is projected to win this game, and for the love of God, will you please stop starting? I know I just said that Patrick Mahomes should probably have a good day, but I mean, you have no reason to believe that that he is going to have a good day. Okay, there's just no reason to think that. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has proved that he's inconsistent this year. He's proved that even in good matchups, he's not performing. Cleveland technically has a decent defense. It's just they have nothing to play for anymore. So, are we going to worry about, having certain players on the field as much and risking injury, stuff like that? So, I just don't. I don't want to play Patrick Mahomes in this game. You have Baker Mayfield who gets the Chargers. Tampa Bay needs to win. Yeah, man, Baker's a top 12 quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, okay? No, just say no, please. Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, running backs 1 and 2. They get Seattle and Philadelphia. You saw James Conner, big game last week against Seattle. The Battle of Pennsylvania. Can Najee get a good game against Pittsburgh or Philadelphia? I think if they get into the red zone, you can definitely score on Philadelphia inside the red zone running the ball. Justin Jefferson, Christian Watson, wide receivers 1 and 2. Taper expectation here for Justin Jefferson, and again, this goes back to what faith do you have in Christian Watson at all? The answer is none. Njoku, is not going to play. Don't think he's going to play, and I would be planning on starting a new tight end. I did it again. Jameson Williams, great flex play. Buffalo, I imagine, I do like it much more preferable than Xavier Worthy. Stop. Okay. Even a blind pig finds a truffle in the woods every now and then. Dallas gets Carolina. So much like me starting Cincinnati against Tennessee this week, defensive wise, normally you wouldn't do it. but because the matchup is just so good, you're obviously starting Dallas this week. Bass the kicker. If Njoku's not going to play, you're going to lose points on this projection, so it will go in the favor of Forrest Dozier. And here's what I know, Evan, and that is that Forrest Dozier has technically now been in the league for a total of 7 years, okay? And in all that time, he only became Forever Unclean one time, and that is in drafts that were as bad as this year, which is one of his worst drafts, and in times where, you think that his lineup is just not capable, and this isn't the case. This is a very capable lineup. This is a low-tier, he's 2 wins away from a 6 seed lineup, and has, again, completely different team than you faced, 9 weeks ago. So, with that in mind, give me number 12, Forrest Heart of the Card Dozier, to do just that and find the heart of the cards and send Forever Unclean a loss and force Evan to get 2 wins in a row or be right back in the same boat that he is right now. We have reached the very bottom of the Consolation Ladder, which means it is the first round of the Forever Unclean match. And it is guaranteed that one of these owners will find themselves in the situation that I just described with a loss and having to guarantee 2 wins at that point in time to not find themselves in the last round of Forever Unclean. And again, with the third loss, if you lose 3 in a row and you are in a seed 9 through 14, you will be Forever Unclean. So it's just, we're talking easily 7, you're 7-17, or excuse me, not the 7-7, 6-8, 5-9, 3-11, 2-12. Any one of you guys loses 3 games in a row. It's just the wrong matchup at the wrong time with the wrong person doing something. You will become Forever Unclean. Jack, unfortunately, you didn't get to see what happens to Forever Unclean normally, other than just the shit that we give Evan. But Josh is very familiar with Forever Unclean and how that works. And I guarantee you he doesn't want to have to bring that trophy and that disgrace to this family for the conversation we're going to have alone if that happens. Do you understand me, Joshua? So let's go ahead and break down this very, very, very important game. Number 14, Jack Little Raven taking on number 13, Josh Johnson. And it is a 17-point game. And I have to say it is not in your favor, Josh. And I think you have got to just dive into whatever the waiver wire has left and find the best matchups and play just whatever high ceiling, boom, possibility, touchdown dependent player you can, because you need all of that to come together. I think if you just can put together a win in this first week, maybe you take a loss in the second week, I think it just puts something together. And I know it's so hard because, I mean, you have a team's worth of players that have just been eviscerated from even playing in the game. So, Jack, we'll start with you. Jordan Love, Seattle. This 14 points, that's what we're averaging. That's what we're going to see. He just needs to throw a touchdown to Tucker Kraft. That would make me and co-commissioner pretty happy. Travis Etienne and Justice Hill, running backs 1 and 2. Not good with Travis Etienne. The Jets taper expectation. Tank Bigsby's the clear better running back and will get more touches anyway. Justice Hill, you could vulture a touchdown here. One, because it's the Giants and they could get up early, but then if they do get up early, we're not going to risk, Derrick Henry and, the possibility that we're not going to have him for the playoffs. So Justice Hill, I imagine, is going to get a little more volume than normal and a touchdown. I actually like him as a play. He is a desperation play, but a play nonetheless. He's actually exactly what Josh needs right now. I define irony. Cortland Sutton and Zay Flowers, running backs, or wide. I've done that. I've done that all night. Wide receivers 1 and 2. It's the middle of the week, and we're getting into crunch time. Grades are due. The kids are crazy. Give me a break, okay? I'm good to get these episodes out this week, my man. Love the matchups though with those guys. Hunter Henry, Arizona. We saw what Arizona gave up last week. DJ Moore in Minnesota. Actually, I hate that we're starting. We're back to starting DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze. I hate it so much. Baltimore's defense. Cardi, the kicker. It's a 17-point line. So you like that? You're a great example, Jack. That things didn't go your way during the regular season. That's not a reason to become forever unclean. With 3 weeks left to go, who really is going to be the worst team? And whether it's by injury, whether it's be a poor, assembly of a team, whatever it is, the team that is really the worst is going to eventually find their way at the bottom. Unless somehow I would just laugh if one of the Aarons or watch Evan become forever unclean 2 years in a row. That would be hilarious, man. Oh my goodness. Josh, prove you have one more win by all technicalities. You're 3-11, so technically you had a better regular season one way or the other. Can you find that now? It didn't happen in week 9. It was a blowout. It wasn't good. It very much resembles what we're looking at now. Jared Goff, who I think has a great play against Buffalo. I think they're going to need to be, Jared Goff's going to have to pass, and they're going to be, this is going to be a good game. I like this. We saw what happened with the Rams, so good play here. You are not starting Amir Abdullah. You're monitoring Madison, but it's the Sincere McCormick show. That you just like the matchup here, but go find yourself, for the love of God, go find yourself another running back. This is where you actually shine. Puka Nacua. Can we have a big game? We already talked about it a little bit with Cooper Kupp in San Francisco. We saw what happened with Buffalo last week. Can we happen again? Amari Cooper, actually, I like this. With Detroit, I think this is going to be another shoot-it-out game with Buffalo. Detroit's going to be slinging it. This is going to be a fun game. Lots of fantasy points. I think there's going to be lots of NFL points. So, yes, I do like this. Noah Fant, because Big Montana gets hurt against Green Bay. Hey, we'll see what happens. Keon Coleman, all healed and no injury designation against Detroit. So we'll see how he slots in. You're going to get everything that's not Khalil Shakir. So it's not been great for every kind of just see which Buffalo's wide receiver. You're just going all in Buffalo in this game with Detroit. I love it. This is one of those things, hey, man, maybe this will work out really, really well. Okay, Miami's defense and Myers, the kicker, and I don't know if the Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman get everything in the air that's not Khalil Shakir, if that's going to work out. I do like it. I'm serious when I say that. I do like it. I love Puka. I love Jared Goff. The matches are good. I don't like your running backs are horrible, and that's saying something because Jack's running backs are atrocious, okay? But yours are worse, and and your wide receivers are better. Not your tight end. Your flex is arguable, but depending on the DJ Moore we get, okay? I think Keon Coleman can get 8 or 9 points, pretty much weekly. DJ Moore might get 24. He might get 4. Okay. But I love you, Josh, and God knows that I want you to win this game because blood is thicker than water, but I absolutely do not see you winning this game. I please prove me wrong, but give me Jack Little Raven to get his win and get one round away from Forever Unclean here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that was a long build-up for what we all have been waiting for, and that is round 1 of the championship playoff bracket. And our first championship matchup will feature myself your number 6, number 1 in your hearts, Commissioner Joe Johnson, taking on defending champion number 3, 11-3, Austin Allen. This game currently projected within 5 points, which, as I discussed earlier, means it could go either way. Anything within 10 points is going to be close. I will say that I hold on. I've said it many times already, holding on to the playoffs by a fingernail. I get in 7-7. I am the lowest scoring manager in the championship bracket. I actually have been outscored. Go and look. I have been outscored more than my points for. So that is to say, my points allowed is higher than my points for. And yet, here I sit by the grace of the fantasy gods, better lucky than good. And I am riding those positive waves into the playoffs because that's the best thing I got. I honestly believe that's the case. Austin, you have put together another solid year, a top 3 finish. Congratulations, defending your championship. I want to be the first to make a public apology that you haven't had your trophy, that you haven't been able to have people ask, oh, what is that, and be able to gloat. So I'm going to look forward to taking that away from you here in round 1. People will have, your name will be on a trophy. Don't get me wrong, but it will be on my wall that it will be once we get a new one and I actually get my shit together and get names back on the trophy and all the above. But you will not get to enjoy it as I am going to derail your efforts for the season and your setup for this round 1. I'm going to do to you what Jordan Payne did to me last year when I was 12-2. Okay, things that shouldn't happen are going to happen because they're supposed to happen. Look, fantasy gods, let's break it down. Kyler Murray, New England, at least the matchup's good. The Cardinals are a top 3 easiest strength of schedule. I think they're actually the number 1 easiest strength of schedule for the rest of the year. Chase Brown, Tennessee. I mean, I could not ask for better round 1 matchups. I mean, the one thing that I need are great round 1 matchups with my players right now. And at least what I would almost consider my starting lineup is hot to trot and ready to go. I cannot believe Jordan dropped Chase Brown. That is mind-numbingly surprising of a player like that. And I could not be more happy right now, Jordan. I just want to let you know. James Conner, it's been a great trade. Super happy. And again with New England. And remember our deal, Brauc. No McBride touchdowns, just McBride volume, okay? MHJ, who is, we're just going to find out what roller coaster are. What part of the roller coaster? We're on a peak? Are we on a valley? Or what are we doing? I don't even know what a loop-de-loop means. God help me if we get to one of those. Brian Thomas Jr., who I would think would be my biggest question at wide receiver, is one of my most consistent. And when I made this trade to get Brian Thomas, I did so with the idea that he is a league winner. And even without Trevor Lawrence, I believe he's going to be a league winner. I have to believe he's a league winner, and that he will be. It's a tough matchup with the Jets, so I am going to taper a little bit of expectation. But I mean, it was 16 points against a tough defense last week. I mean, he absolutely killed it. Mark Andrews and the Giants, for the love of God, Mark Andrews, 3 weeks, my man. Just do it. It's a great matchup with the Giants. Jonathan Taylor is the worst. This is the biggest question. And he's outside the top 20 of running backs. My number 1 pick. I mean, this was just to show you the chaos that has been 2024. My number 1 pick for running back, top 5 running back choice, Jonathan Taylor, is outside the top 20 running backs because of Anthony Richardson and his nonsense. And so we run into Denver, who is a top percentile team against the run. And I have no idea how this game is going to turn out. This could easily make or break the game for me against you this week. Arizona the defense, and that may change to Cincinnati. Haven't really made up my mind just yet. Mike Wright, my kicker, who will maintain his position as long as Harrison Butker doesn't decide to come back. I hope that's not the case this week. So the projection is 120 currently right now. Austin. Unfortunately for me, Jaden Daniels comes back from his bye week, and of course, what do they get? New Orleans, and what did I talk about mere moments ago when we talked about Alvin Kamara and Aaron Grogg's team? And that is the fact that New Orleans it's over, it's done. Jaden Daniels. Number one quarterback in the league when it comes to fantasy points, and I imagine is going to be a fun day. This is not going to be fun for me. I need Kyler Murray to keep pace. Very important. Saquon Barkley and Jahmyr Gibbs. One of the reasons that I won our game back in week 8. One of the reasons I won that game is because Saquon Barkley didn't score 30 points. It was one of his weeks where he was kind of hitting a lull, and so I absolutely need that to be the case. He gets Pittsburgh, thank God. Your defenses get real tough. You get the Jaden Daniels matchup with New Orleans, but then everything changes. Jahmyr Gibbs, Buffalo. Devonta Smith, Pittsburgh, JSN, Green Bay. Taper expectations all the way down to George Kittle, who, again, I feel this game with the Rams is going to be tougher just based off all these analytics I've read, in the last week or two. But, it's George Kittle. This offense through the passing goes through him, and, he is their number one passing target, and Debo's not doing anything. What is a bad day for George Kittle? A bad day for George Kittle is like a great day for everybody else's. So very, very, I guess I'm kind of glad it's a short week, so that might help me out a little bit here. But I feel like I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again, Juwan Jennings, Brock Purdy, probably George Kittle are going to be good starts tonight, or tomorrow night, excuse me. Darnell Mooney, the flex play against Las Vegas, not looking forward to that. That's actually a pretty good matchup. Denver's defense and Fairbairn, the kicker, it's 125. But Austin, it's everything that I said earlier. I'm not going to repeat myself. It came down, look at it, 143 to 142. It was actually less than a point, or actually I think a little over 1 point. And you have tough defenses. Things are not aligned for a win. You want to talk about, I said this before, I would much rather be in the 3-6 matchup than the 5-4. And the reason I don't want to be in the 5-4 matchup is you're playing someone who is much more close to you in team strength. They're probably going to have a similar outcome as you. We're talking about 5 points here. So obviously Austin and I are right there. We're proving our playoff worth. And the big thing here is, Jonathan Taylor was a huge part of my win against you back in week 8. He was pivotal. Scored over 20 points in that game. So if I'm going to find a win this week, I've got to find all of my players have to produce, because you're over here averaging 117 freaking points. I can't handle it, man. So you know the drill. We don't need to go over everything again. We're going to get a repeat of week 8. Don't worry. This is my league. This is what is expected of the commissioner, is to take out newcomers. You're still new. It's only year 2. You're a sophomore. And like I said, the end of your championship defense run ends in round 1. Much like me last year, I will be the Jordan Payne to your Joe Johnson, except I'm the Joe Johnson to your Joe Johnson. Get the fuck off my lawn and let's go check out that 5-4 matchup. Our second matchup for the championship bracket is, as I said, number 5, Chandlar Taylor, taking on number 4, Mr. Consistency, Derrick Ash. And I have said in the regular season, Chandlar, that you don't underestimate Derrick. And here we see Derrick in the playoffs once more, and he's dealing with some, much like myself, there's some productivity issues, there's some injury issues. Things aren't going necessarily the way that we would like to see them go. And nevertheless, it doesn't matter. Here we sit, and you're going to have to deal with us. Chandlar having a better year than you did last year. You're in the playoffs. You're very possibly a deep playoff team. You've made some very good trades. Now, I will say one thing that has not been going in your way, we're going to highlight it here in a moment, that David Montgomery, Deebo Samuel trade not happening, not working in your favor. And I just want to say a big thank you for everyone here in the Fantasy League Championships for making sure that Bo Nix and David Montgomery are not in the playoffs. So thank you, Chandlar Taylor, for that. This game, even closer, one of the closest games in the entire game set here in round one, both championship and consolation ladder alike, 2.8 points. So another game within 3 points, which just means this game could go either way. Let's talk about Chandlar Taylor starting Brock Purdy. Should have started him last week, man. 22 points. Will Levis is not going to win you games. You're lucky. You are lucky things went the way they did last week, because it could have been a very interesting situation had you lost this game. You fetch the Rams. Like I said, I don't think the Rams are going to be pushovers. You saw the shootout, though, that they got in with Buffalo. That could bode very well for Brock Purdy. And again, I like this game. You're San Francisco. You're down to 4th, 5th string, 6th string running backs, practice squad running backs. You're going to throw the ball, which doesn't, I hate saying this because, again, I'm having to deal with George Kittle. But Juwan Jennings, you've got the stack with Deebo. Surely Deebo does something in this game. I mean, you have to see the production somewhere. Am I right? Brian Robinson, DeAndre Swift, you love this. DeAndre Swift, you don't like the matchup with Minnesota, but you do like the volume. I love Bijan. I'm using it in my other league, Las Vegas. It's going to be good stuff. Scary Terry, who is the number 8 wide receiver right now, should not have made the trade for Olave and Andrews. Should have just dealt with it, let Waddle come back. Oh man, I say that in the sense that I want Waddle on my team right now. I want Scary Terry on my team right now. If I don't make that trade, if I don't make trades to get James Conner, get Brian Thomas, get Javonte Williams off my team, if I don't make those trades, I probably am not in the playoffs. It's the one thing you're looking at. You can't keep going through week after week and expect the same result. That's one borderline insanity, but it's not going to get you into the fantasy playoffs. I have two players from my original draft. That's Jonathan Taylor, who I should have pawned off onto somebody else, and Marvin Harrison Jr., who arguably I should have pawned off onto someone else. Okay, so even the 2 people that I've kept on my team from my original draft are people that I could easily have traded away this year and gotten better value for. The point is, I needed to win, and with the combo of people, I got them, and I'm in the playoffs. And that's how you play fucking fantasy, guys. So, Scary Terry, the whole point of that, Scary Terry, really good. Wish I had him. Jamar Chase, off of a highlight career week, 45 points last week. Tennessee gets a matchup with Tennessee. Derrick's not going to like that. Zach Ertz gets a great matchup with New Orleans. I think Jaden will definitely find him. I have him in another league, and had I not picked up Tucker Kraft, that's who I'd be starting. We talked about it with Deebo. The stack has to pay off. If you're going to win this game, it's very important that your stack get you a W tonight. Pittsburgh, the defense, and you might be looking for a different defense. Philadelphia we're gonna see them put up points. I will say the over-under for that game is like 40.3 or something. It's 43, so it's low. So not a lot of points expected in this game. This might go in your favor in that case. And then Pittsburgh's just been fantastic on defense. Will Lutz, the kicker. It's 127. It's in your favor, I will say that. But you learned back in week 9 that we don't underestimate Derrick. Okay, Justin Herbert gets Tampa Bay, but Justin Herbert's looked really fantastic, and I don't see this. I think this is going to be a fun little shoot it out game with Tampa Bay. I hope not, because I have Tampa Bay's defense. I'm actually not starting them, but for the reasons that I'm talking about right now. But Tampa Bay, I mean, if they have their defense show up here, this could be a bad day for Herbert. I know that's what you're hoping for, Chandler, but yeah, I like this game. I think it's going to be a nice little scoring shoot it out game here. Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, Brian Robinson. I knew I was going to do that because both. I even looked at it before we went over this game, and I was like, Bijan Robinson, Brian Robinson. Note the junior, it's the difference. And I still screwed it up because we're just going and we're having a good time. And I read 1,000 player name and 1,000 player stats, and we just deal with it. You deal with it, you shut your mouth, and you sip on that soda, and you munch on those chips, and you fucking enjoy the fucking show. Derrick Henry gets the Giants. You're going to love that. Brian Robinson, New Orleans. It's a great running back combo here. Bijan's going to, I'm saying Bijan because I mean Bijan. Bijan needs to keep DeAndre Swift in tandem with these guys, because this could be a 40-point day just from the running back core. Amon St. Brown and Malik Neighbors. Now, even though you can pass on Baltimore, I have no faith in the Giants' pass game. I will say at least Neighbors got double digits last week. Amon St. Brown gets Buffalo. We'll see what happens. Turd Ferguson, it's a funny hat, gets Carolina. I think 10 points minimum coming. Bucky Irving's not going to play. You might as well be shopping for a new flex, and that could be huge. Not a lot on the waiver wire. Everybody is this is your ideal start, so you don't want to have to go to someone else, and you're already projected to lose the game, so your production is not going to get better when it comes to having to swap out Bucky Irving. Chargers defense, Sanders the defense. This is going to be a fantastic game. I mean, just like my game with Austin and many games this week, it just, things could go either way. Round 1 of the playoffs is so fun for the fact that it's just really anybody's day, and you really don't know who's going to win, except for, Austin's going to lose. That's just written in the stars, So with that one exception, things could just go either way, So I have, it's part of the show. And we're over an hour, I think, on this episode. So I have to make a decision. It was week 9, 121 to 101. And I will say, I think the wide receiver core definitely is in your favor, Chandler, but it hasn't been the year of the wide receiver. It's been the year of the running back, and it hasn't been the year of the running back in years. And I will say that when people like myself, and that's what you see that I've pivoted, you will see that the teams that have pivoted to running back heavy strategies have been more successful, and you kind of traded away from the running back heavy team to the which is understandable. It's a PPR league. Things are better. I think if you maybe had made a different player change for, like, maybe had, I can't remember your other running back at the time. Even DeAndre Swift for Debo would have been better than giving up David Montgomery, which I think really changes the dynamics of your team. But I don't know who you're going to play, Derrick, if you're out this flex player, because nothing really looks appealing. And I swear to God, if you play 2 tight ends, I'm going to lose my shit. So I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go with the projection. I think the stack here is going to work out. I don't know who you're going to do at flex. I think the wide receivers are going to just not come together with Malik Neighbors. Amon can't do it by himself. So give me number 5, Chandler Taylor, to knock out Mr. Consistency here in the first round. And there we go, guys. That is all she wrote. I am going to go to bed now because I'm going to edit and then I'm going to go to bed because we have so much ready to go for the Thursday night games. And then I want to be ready to just sit back and enjoy my weekend. So, everybody, good luck. If you're having to play around, enjoy your week if you have that round one bye. Austin, get the fuck off my lawn. You're playing final boss. You're gonna lose. So just give up. Just accept it now. And everybody else, take care. Peace out.